So, I don't know about you guys, but you're probably noticing that some of these starter zones have certain tones to them. We just went through the Worgen starting zone. Pretty dark, pretty serious, very goth horror feel to it. What do you guys say it's about time we go for a change of pace and, I don't know, what do you say we get a little crazy? Go a little nuts. Have some absolutely insane, crazy, ridiculous fun.
The wily, cunning goblins of Kazan have lived in relative peace for generations. Though some of their race sided with the marauding orcs during the Second War, most goblins have remained neutral throughout the various conflicts between the Alliance and Horde. Ruled over by corrupt yet highly affluent trade princes, the goblins created a virtual paradise for themselves throughout the islands of the South Seas. Their ingenious feats of engineering and vast trade fleets helped make their island capital of Kazan one of the great technological wonders of the world. But now, as the elements themselves rise up in anger across the world, the goblins' mechanical paradise will be put to the test. For very soon, fate will force them to choose sides in a conflict that will shape the very history of the world.
Ignore those two for now. No, actually, on second thought, though it's just a little hard to figure out.
Greeley, can you feel it? My moment of success is at hand. Grocery store owners everywhere will owe me a percentage of their profits. I'm flipping the second switch. Wait, something's wrong.
You think? Hobart, the micro mecha chicken is destabilizing. It's expanding.
I know. Where's the override? The override!
It's the one on the far right. Hurry, Hobart. It's gonna explode. Explode.
Here goes nothing. I've always loved you, Greeley. What? Flipping the override switch now.
Are we still alive? We're still alive, Dr. Grapplehammer, despite your best efforts.
Well, of course we are, my dear Greeley, and look there! The Micro Mecha Chicken's stabilization appears to be a complete success.
Is that egg on your face? Now, what's this about you always loved me, Grapplehammer?
I haven't the foggiest notion what you're talking about, Miss Greeley.
We can both agree on that, Doctor. I love these two, and these two actually become kind of a regular couple of characters throughout our time going through Cataclysm. We'll talk about Subject 9 later. So, right off, what a great way to start, huh? Right off the bat, just an incredible way to get introduced to one of the most amazing starting zones in the game, and I seriously mean that. This starting zone is absolutely incredible. It is so goblin.
That one's free of charge, sir.
So yes, I'm going to point this out. Here's one of the things to know about goblins. This is the priest trainer. She's standing on a pile of gold because she's charging people for heals. Because she's a goblin priest. She gave me the Power Word Fortitude buff for half an hour and said, that one's free of charge. Because usually I would have to pay her for that. That is so goblin in a nutshell. I'll talk more about the goblins in just a bit. In terms of their history and such. But I just want to talk about this place, just to kind of help give you an idea of what goblins are like. First off, look at the amount of garbage and trash and such that there's everywhere. There's banana peels, there's cans, just... This is not the most clean place. The roads over here, these are just plates of metal that they've just kind of tossed on the ground here. The sky is just so smoggy, and no, we are not in LA. But it just gives an idea of what's going on. We're on an island, by the way. And just kind of look at some of the oil rigs out there because, yeah, of course. This is... There's some other things to really help emphasize this. Like, here's an example. What? We've got flamingos here. What? What? I don't see any problem with this. So what if it's real or not? Who cares? It's a flamingo. What? That's kind of an excellent example of, like, goblin, like... I guess the words would be society or culture, for lack of a better word. Let me show some of these trainers. First off, this is the first time we're going to be seeing a rogue in this series. This is my trainer. Can you tell? Because she's sneaking around. Because she's a rogue. And of course that's what you do, right?
Quickly, quickly!
Training, massages, whatever you need. Boss, just don't forget me when you're in the new trade prince.
Yeah, so I should address that real quick. So, there is something about the way you start off as a goblin that I think some people do find as a bit of a turnoff. And so, you know how some people love in certain RPG games, like, say, The Elder Scrolls, for example, where people try to come up with their own backstory and try to make their own character unique with a blank slate and are, you know... Yeah, that's not happening here. We have kind of an establishment of what or who our character is. We are basically in charge of a company here, trying to become the new trade prince, which is one of the highest, if not the, like, highest recognition and title amongst goblins. And we are, like, looked upon by the people here as the boss. Like, we are, like, the, you know, the boss of this company that we're running. And these people are very loyal to us because we're also a good person. I know that sounds weird, you know, because we're a goblin, but we are actually a goblin who's a good person. I want to point this out. You know, so that is something that a lot of people do get turned off by, but it is something worth noting. I personally don't have a problem with it because when you've played games like, let's say, The Witcher 3, where you have an established character, you can't make up your own character, backstory, whatever, and you play Witcher 3. You are Geralt. You are this character who already has backstory. That's not something you can change. I personally don't mind that at all, you know? So, I'm like, okay, sure. You know, I don't mind that. But let me kind of also show some of the other trainers here. So that's the rogue trainer. Can't you tell? Here's the shaman trainer. It's not really anything that special. But there are some good ones here. Here's the mage trainer. And there's the warlock trainer. And they're just kind of dueling each other with blasts. The imp is over there like, whatever. But yeah, they just kind of keep blasting each other. The hunter trainer over here, he's standing on a bomb. Because this is his trap. My personal favorite, though, this is the warrior trainer. I feel I don't need to add anything more to this. Yeah. I love that. That is so goblin. You know, like when I tried to see if I can, like, describe, like, why is it that goblins have this kind of mentality, like, here's their idea of a beach resort. You know, very, hard, asphalt type of ground here. No sand. But we're still going to put towels and fake umbrellas and, chairs, whatever. It's like, who cares if it's real or not? If it's fake. It looks real. That's close enough. Does it work? Does it get the job done? Is it efficient? Well, then good. Then good. Who cares how it looks? That's kind of how goblins tend to think, Again, I just love the priest trainer standing on gold, charging people for heals. Could you imagine if players did that? Don't answer me if that actually used to be a thing. Let me go ahead. Let's see. Now, usually I've used the ambassador title, but we're a goblin, so of course we got to be stabbing as the fabulous, because we're a goblin and we are fabulous, because we're a do I really need to explain this? There's so much about this starting zone that it puts a smile on my face. It makes me laugh. There's more stuff I haven't shown you that just I'm convinced this is the zone where Blizzard was like, you know what, let's just go crazy. with this one. Let's just have just a ton of ridiculous fun while making it and designing it. Because these are goblins. This should not be taken too seriously. This is just absolute crazy, insane fun because goblins themselves are a little crazy. You know, they don't have very long lifespans and they think very short term and they love explosions. They love blowing things up. They're also extremely intelligent though. Like they, you know, alongside the gnomes are two of the most intelligent races on Azeroth. The goblins just have a thing about, you know, wanting to actually blow stuff up. So, like, here's an example of what I was talking about with our character. This is our own personal executive assistant because we are, as I said, a very high-ranking boss amongst the goblin people who is actually trying to challenge another trade prince to earn that title of the trade prince. It's a character you will probably be very familiar with if you have played, gone through Battle for Azeroth. But we'll meet him later. I'll save him for now. But yeah, just, I just love this. So here's a marketing rep.
Mr. Stabbycast, so very good to see you. I hope that you're enjoying the Kaja'Mite marketing campaign. We're planning a massive set of explosions for the next phase of the campaign. That always goes over well with our target demographic.
See you around, friend.
Yeah, some of the, I'm going to try and, it's hard to do a distinctive, like, voice or so for the goblins, because some of them sound, you know, like they're from New York, you know, with that kind of, you know, New York type of dialect. And some of them kind of don't, but, you know, like Gazlo, he's like, hey, how you doing? You know, they talk like that, so. I don't know, I may end up kind of slipping into that, I may not, I don't really know, so. Also, here are, so, this is actually dependent on what gender you choose to have your character. So, because I am a male goblin, this is my girlfriend, Candy Cane. If I was a female goblin, this would be my boyfriend, Chip and Dale. And this our assistant's name is Sassy Hardwrench. The goblins tend to have these kinds of names, and you just kind of like go, yeah, okay, I get it. Oh, hold on. Before we get underway here, we gotta make sure that we set up our heirlooms. So, fun little fact. My max level, I just realized I don't have that. So I had an issue with some of my add-ons. For some reason, I had to restart this video because for some reason it enabled every add-on that I have. And it just, you know, the whole thing went kind of nuts. So I had to disable every add-on, and I actually, you know, wasn't able to re-enable every add-on because I didn't remember all the ones I had, so. I'll just have to grab a couple of things here, and I'll figure it out later in between. So, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, okay. I mean, we are rogues, so let's get the Shadowcraft set. We are not going to be using swords because we are a rogue. So let's go ahead and get a couple of daggers. Actually, I'll grab that instead. This, and there we go. Okay. Alright. Sneaky, right? Alright, so let's kind of get underway here.
I'm all ears, boss.
With all the troubles down in the Kaja'Mite, Foreman Dampwick's been going crazy trying to find you. He said something about some defiant trolls. The Kaja'Mite that our trolls are mining are a critical ingredient in Kaja-Cola. That bubbly stuff is making us a fortune. It's gonna get you a promotion at Trade Prince. But first we have to get production flowing again. You'll find the foreman to the east. Here, give him this give him this as an incentive to get his act together.
You need anything, you come to me.
Haha, that should be a blast.
'Cause, you know, it's ticking. Sassy is ruthless. No, no, no. I'll hold off on that. Okay. So, how many of you out there have played Tales from the Borderlands? I'm gonna just refer to this guy as Loaderbot. And I don't need to add any more to that.
Quickly! Quickly!
Everything's going great. Yeah. Hey, what's that? A gift from Sassy? Oh, I hope it's a bonus. Always nice to see a gift hand-delivered by the second... Ouch!
Okay, I got the message. Hey there, boss man. This batch of troll slaves has got to be the worst yet. Lucky for us that the Kaja'Mite doesn't seem to be making their soft brains any smarter, eh? We've got trouble down the Kaja'Mite again, boss. The tunneling worms have returned and they're literally eating at the Kajaro Trading Company's profits. Kaja'Mite's mining is down, which is negatively impacting our production of Kaja Cola. I tried calling the exterminator, but he's fled with the last payment that we made to him. Do you think that you could head into the 3 mines and take care of it? I'd help, but I still haven't attended the cartel-mandated fighter training seminar. I failed! I tried to meet our Kaja Cola quotas, but you know troll slaves these days, good help is hard to find. I think your personal touch is called for. A shock from the battery on your Goblin all-in-one belt. All-in-wonder belt. Get ready for a lot of those kinds of... that kind of wordplay. The puns. She'll do the trick. Adjust their attitudes and the rest will fall in line. Kaja Cola's production must continue or the trade prince will have all of our heads. Careful out there.
Man, this trade prince sounds kind of ruthless. I wonder what kind of jerk he could possibly be. Before we continue, let me go over some of the stuff about goblins in terms of like what you get when you pick a goblin. So first off, you have you get 2 really awesome abilities, each of which share a 1.5 minute cooldown, which I do not like. Rocket Barrage is you launch a rocket at your enemy. I am not kidding. The other is Rocket Jump. You activate your rocket belt to jump forward. Yeah. I wish that had a very minimal cooldown, like 10 seconds. I would use that all the time. And no, I don't care if it would actually break something like PvP. Just make it unable to be used in PvP, problem solved. It would be awesome. So yeah, those are 2 activatable abilities you get right off the bat as a goblin. Another passive you get is Time is Money, friend. Cash in on a 1% increase to haste. They know Orcish and Goblin, because Goblin is their own language. Best deals anywhere. Always receive the best possible gold discount regardless of faction. Better living through chemistry. Alchemy skill is increased by 15. Why? Well, when you see the Kaja Cola stuff, you'll kind of get an idea as to why. You're probably wondering, what is this Kaja Cola thing? I'll take a moment to talk about that in just a second. So this is a Kaja mine. They are mining... yeah. You want us to go bash bad trolls? Yeah, these are mooks. I don't mean that in terms of that's what they are, like, their role. You know, like, hey, mook, go teach them a lesson. That's what they actually are. Like, that's like what their race is called, mooks. I am not kidding. That is what they are referred to. So we have troll slaves. I'm kind of pointing this out because... the thing is, if we've learned anything over the thousands of years, is that you don't mess with trolls. Trolls are smart, strong, and powerful. They won significant battles over the years. Like wars and such. And the fact that the goblins were able to kind of enslave some of these guys kind of says something. So, let me actually show you... the Kaja'Mite real quick, and then I'll take a moment to talk about the goblins lore along with this right here, which is kind of important to the goblin, race and their history. This is Kaja'Mite. Now you're probably going, what is this animation that looks like it's kind of like having some kind of liquid kind of ooze out of it? some of us kind of refer to it as a bleeding animation, because it's the same type of animation that Serenite had in Northrend. Do you remember the Serenite, right? The stuff that the Scourge were mining that was actually made out of Yogg-Saron's blood that is extremely strong, powerful, and durable. However, for living beings, it basically causes them to go insane because it's the blood of Yogg-Saron, an old god. However, it did not negatively affect undead, which is why the Scourge were using it, because of course you're gonna want to get a material, an ore as powerful as Serenite, and use it for, say, your armor for your troops, especially when they are undead troops who do not get negatively affected by it, unlike living beings. So Kaja'Mite has the same animation, and it's never been confirmed by Blizzard, but many have speculated and theorized that this is the blood of an old god. Which old god? Well, that's not very clear. I don't know if this... I doubt this would be Cthulhu's blood. I think it's possible it could be Y'Shaarj, but then again, it's probably more likely it's N'Zoth's blood, especially since here in Cataclysm, N'Zoth, or rather his forces, tend to get a spotlight, including Deathwing, which he'll be coming up later. But of course, he's even name-dropped later in this expansion. So, what do you say we take a moment for me to kind of go over a bit about Kaja'Mite here, along with Goblins. Now, the thing is that Kaja'Mite is mainly responsible for the Goblins actually becoming a thing. In ancient times, the keeper Mimiron had discovered Kaja'Mite, and attempting to determinate its properties, he experimented on various races, because of course he did, he's Mimiron. He found that the ore was extremely potent, and that it increased the intellect of his subjects. One of these subjects was a very small, primitive life race that roamed around the forest near Ulduar. By consuming Kaja'Mite, they were transformed into a new, highly intelligent race, known as the Goblins. The Goblins share a common ancestor with Pygmies. We'll be seeing them later in the starting zone. During the War of the Ancients, Neltharion, aka Deathwing, created the Demon Soul with the help of goblin artificers led by Meklo. The goblins also fashioned adamantium plates to hold Neltharion's body together when the Demon Soul's power began to overwhelm him. We see this in the Cataclysm cinematic. And the enslaved Jogbar placed those plates onto his body. When the Great Sundering happened thousands of years after the goblins' creation, they were cut from their supply of Kaja'Mite ore. In just a few short generations, most changes and boosts to their intelligence vanished. The goblins then took refuge on the Isle of Kazan, which is where we are now, and they had already forgotten the influence Kaja'Mite once had on their society. After the Sundering, the Zandalari trolls that once ruled a large part of Azeroth started exploring numerous islands that dotted the newly formed sea. During one of these trips, they discovered Kazan and the Goblin race, who were very primitive but still possessed some intellect. Initially, the two races kept a distance as the Zandalari only came to the island in order to mine Kaja'Mite. They didn't really know too much about it, but they realized that it was very potent, so they saw it as a sacred component in their rituals and ceremonies. For many centuries, the trolls mined and occasionally even paid goblins in trinkets in order to work for them, but this arrangement was soon to change. At some point, the trolls, while digging, discovered that Kazan possessed an unimaginable deposit of Kaja'Mite underground, more than they would ever need. So rather than digging themselves, they enslaved the goblins and forced them to drill in frightful conditions. For thousands of years, the goblins, too weak to resist, suffered under the rule of the Zandalari. Finally, it was Kaja'Mite that led the goblins to their salvation. Over time, the goblin workers breathed in the dust of the ore that clouded the mines that they worked in, and eventually it started to awake the goblins' intelligence. Secretly, they plotted to start a rebellion, gathering any materials that they can find and hide in order to create a wide range of weapons, traps, and, of course, explosives. 100 years before the opening of the Dark Portal, The troll overseers were caught completely off guard when goblins' masses stormed out from the mines, armed with technology that the Zandalari couldn't even imagine at the time. The trolls' hold over Kazan was shattered completely. Their mining operation failed, and the surviving Zandalari fled. Hold on. The goblins were now free, and in order to celebrate their liberation, they turned on each other, creating chaos as countless allegiances were formed. Soon enough, they were split into various different groups, and the most powerful of these groups were known as cartels. As the battles were getting completely out of hand and no one was actually winning, the cartels brokered a truce. However, the conflict would never really cease, as the goblins would now turn to trade, battling in the economic arena. For the years to come, the cartels were rivals, constantly outshining and outsmarting each other as they continued in their quest for wealth and power. With their newfound intellect, goblins became renowned for producing a number of ingenious inventions. Eventually, Kaja'Mite supplies ran low, and as the goblins' heightened intelligence vanished, their inventions became increasingly unreliable. As a result, the goblins turned to mercantilism as a source of income and transformed Kazan into a profitable trading hub. By the time of the First War, Warcraft 1, the goblins of the Steam Weedle cartel had taken over a Stranglethorn Vale settlement named Blackwater Cove that had been abandoned by Stormwind after it was overrun by trolls. Upon claiming the town as their own, the goblins renamed it Booty Bay. During the war, the goblins witnessed the old horde's arrival and the conquest of Stormwind. With more conflicts in the horizon, they were determined to profit from it. Trade Prince Steamweedle allied his Steamweedle cartel with Orgrim Doomhammer's horde and offered aid in form of new technologies, maps, and other useful information to the orcs for the right price. Orgrim treated his new allies as equals, and he paid them gold from Stormwind's coffers. The war chief also hired them to oversee the construction of the horde's fleet. However, following the war, the Steamweedle cartel and other goblins realized that it was a much better idea to remain neutral due to thriving trades. Approximately 4 years after the Second War, the goblin city of Gadgetzan had already been built in Tanaris on Kalimdor, as it was visited by Graydon Thorn. By the time of the Battle of Grim Batol, Deathwing also still had goblin servitors, just as he did during the War of the Ancients. The three known ones were Krill, Nullin, and Void. The goblins of the Steamweedle cartel offered their services to the Alliance and the Horde across the world. The Venture Company, however, began hostile campaigns in various territories, prompting various conflicts with the two factions. Several goblins joined the Dark Horde, which were stationed at Blackrock Mountain and its surroundings. That was what was going on during Vanilla. Moving on to the Burning Crusade, a group of goblins called Boom, B-O-O-M, operate their money-making schemes in Area 52 and the rest of Netherstorm. During the war against the Nightmare, several goblins were part of the Dreamform army. After Magni Bronzebeard was turned into a diamond shortly before the Cataclysm, I just realized I never showed you guys that when I was going through the Dwarven Starter Zone. I am so sorry. But then again, he's probably not there anymore. But anyways. Several goblin representatives attended the ceremony in Ironforge. And then it gets to Cataclysm, which of course I will be holding off on. This has to do with a different cartel called the Bilgewater Cartel, but we will kind of be experiencing that. Let me read a bit more, though, about Kaja'Mite. It is a type of ore found primarily beneath Mount Kajaro on Kazan, which is where we are now. It also can be found on the Lost Isles and Zandalar. The consumption of vaporized Kaja'Mite causes a range of effects, such as heightened senses, hallucinations, and increased intelligence. By goblin law, all Kaja'Mite belongs to goblins. And it talks more, basically similar to what's going on here. So, just to reiterate this, a goblin player character will start out owning a Kaja'Mite mine called Kaja'Mine, because of course it's called that, with troll slaves as workers. So when the goblins revolted, they basically turned the Zandalari trolls here into their servitors, because they were like, you know what? It's time to get back at you for all the times you made us your slaves. So now you get to be our slaves. Ha ha! Yeah. Again, the fact that the goblins were able to pull this off talks about how much the Kaja'Mite improved the goblins to be able to actually do this to the trolls. Because they're the trolls. And so they used the Kaja'Mite and they turned it into an idea-inducing beverage known as Kaja-Cola. Don't worry, I'll be showing how that works as we go through the starting zone. So now that I've read up some on that, what do you say we get some of these trolls and tell them to get to work, slackers? I'm going. Some of these guys are slacking on the jobs. Hey, what are you doing dancing around? Get to work! Oops. Breaks over. Ouch! That hurt! You can see some of the Kaja'Mite in this mine here amongst the coal and such. There's another form of the Kaja'Mite I want to show. Not necessarily like these. Where are they? I know they're here. Hey! Oh! Oh, sorry, player. I didn't know you were going to do that. Sorry. Alright, one more troll. We'll be dancing around the explosives. Alright, let's go after some of these tunneling worms. Ah, here they are. Yeah, they turn them into Kaja'Mite bars. You know, for building stuff. Whee! Hey! Rogues. I'll let you guys know. I'm not too fond of rogues.
I need a target.
So, fun fact, my max level rogue that I have used to be a goblin. But there was something I was noticing. The sets on him did not look all that great. At times it was a little hard to actually kind of see some of these, and I was just kind of like, huh? You know, like I was like, you know, it just did not look that interesting or impressive, you know, on a goblin. So I ended up changing my rogue to an orc. I made my rogue a female orc after Corona. And all of a sudden the Mogs just looked better. In hindsight, I actually regret that a bit because I don't have the heritage armor because, well, at that point I didn't have a rogue anymore. I since have made another, or not rogue, I meant goblin. I since have made another goblin, and at some point I'm going to make sure that he gets the max level and is exalted with the cartel, so that way I can actually get the goblin heritage armor. Because the thing is, I love the goblins in terms, you know, when it comes to how they act and their personality. You know, they're just a whole bunch of fun. They're, you know, they love explosions and they drink colas made out of, you know, old god blood to give them ideas and make them more intelligent. Like, when I get some cola here, I'll try and show it off. I just haven't found any yet. But you can find it and be able to actually use it. Joel's been saying stuff, boss. Probably shouldn't do that running uphill. It's probably better to do that, like, while going downhill.
What?
I say good riddance to those pests. I couldn't have done it better myself. In fact, I didn't. I'm sure that in no time at all, we'll all be talking about the great and powerful, and may I add extremely wealthy, Trade Prince Stabbygas. Sassy's been writing me to supply some Kaja-Cola for the party that's being thrown in your honor later today. Oops. Oh, was it supposed to be a surprise? You didn't hear that from me. Anywho, with production down these last few days, this is all that I managed to get made. Would you take it to her?
On your way.
Boss tells Sassy that I'll get her more Kaja'Cola just soon as production resumes. Alright. Oh, I can't... So yeah. The KTC headquarters. Yeah, that's what our headquarters is called. Hold on a second. Let me clear up my inventory here.
Got the best deals anywhere.
Go.
Hey, that's it. I got mouths to feed, pal.
Love that.
Great to see ya.
Sassy eyes the six-pack warily as if she expects it to explode as soon as you hand it to her. We need more Kaja'Cola than this. I swear I'm gonna fire Dampwick if I don't kill him first. Just so you know, you'll find Kaja'Cola all over town. It's the Bilgewater Cartel's best-selling product of all time. Just remember, image is everything. If we're gonna get you promoted to trade prince. No, wait. Profits are everything. Explosions are a close second. Then image. Goblins, ladies and gentlemen. He'll get me more later. How are we supposed to get you promoted to trade prince without our #1 product on the shelves? Boss, while you were down at the mines, Meg's Dread Shredder in marketing was asking for you. Something about your new ride? She's right outside the building to the left.
Let's get back to work.
We will be seeing that when we return. Stay tuned.